your open book thing will be on Monday. It's just an open book assignment, so use your notes. You can't ask me questions though.
Is it alone?
Huh?
Is it alone?
Yeah. You can't ask me questions though, because it's open book.
Oh.
You can't ask me questions.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
So it's like, what's the
Oh.
question?
If it's a grammar mistake, then yeah, you can ask me a question to clarify the question. But if it's anything about the concepts, I'll just be like, look at your notes. You should have taken better notes. So yeah. So if you haven't taken any good notes, you better start today, because the thing on Monday is about the first 3 things we learned.
Can't you just do it without now?
No?
Why would you want to do that?
Okay. So for parallel lines, so they are lines that are evenly spaced and they never touch each other. Okay? So parallel lines never touch each other. So we need to figure out the slope of each of these lines using basically just rise over run, because that's the easiest thing to do over here. I don't know why my computer decided to cut these values off, but whatever. So I'm gonna name the top line line 1. Yep.
Is there any way you can use a different color? I can't see.
Line 1
That's what you're complaining about right now.
and line 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what points do you guys want to use from line 1 to help us figure out the slope? What point should we use?
-5.
-5 and what? -5 and 3. And what's the other one? Tiana? 0 and 5. So again, I'm going to figure out the slope for line 1,
That's what I'm saying.
which is rise over run, or change in y divided by change in x. So if we're using these 2 points, what is my rise? My 2. And what's my run? 5.
Move 2 up, move 5
Yep.
right.
So my slope for the first line is 2 over 5. Perfect. What's the b value for line number 1? What's the b value? Where does it cross the y-axis? At 5. So Adam, what would be the linear equation for line number 1? Remember, we have y is equal to mx plus b.
Y equals to 5x plus 5.
Yep.
Wow.
I love that. So I'm
Perfect. So this is for line 1. Okay, now we need to figure out the slope for 9. I was going to say 9, not line. For line 2. So slope for line number 2. So again, we're using rise over run. So if we look at line 2, what 2 points can we use? What 2 points can we use, Sienna? -5 and 4. Yep. And what's the other point we can use? David?
0, -2.
Perfect. 0 and -2. So what's my rise and what's my run? John?
Pretty sure it's 2
Mhm.
and 4.
Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you. So my slope for the second line is also 2 over 5. What is the b value for line number 2? What is it? My -2. So, David, what would the equation of line 2 be? So you have our m is 2 over 5 and our b is -2. So what would it be in y is equal to mx plus b? 5 what? Minus? Yep. So y is equal to 2 over 5x minus 2. So this is for line number 2. So I'm going to keep that up. So what do you notice about the slopes of both lines?
They're the same.
They're the same. So when you have parallel lines, the slopes of both lines have to be the same. What is the only thing that is different between the two of them? Laura? Yeah. So your b can be any single number. As long as the slope is the same, your lines are always going to be parallel. So your b can be different values, but the slope has to be the same for it to be a parallel line. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to copy that down. Okay, so they've stopped taking people's food.
I didn't.
Okay, so perpendicular lines are lines that meet at an angle of 90 degrees. So that's where they're perpendicular to each other when they make a right angle. So whenever we have perpendicular lines, you'll notice that one line is going up and the other is going downwards. So we'll label this one, the one that's going up, as line 1. And we'll label the one that's going down with the purple thing, line number 2. So again, I have to draw my axis again because technology.
I swear.
All right. So let's find our slope for line number 1. So the line going up is line 1 and the line going down is line number 2. So who can tell me what 2 points I can use to find the slope of line number 1? So what 2 points can I use? Alice? No, not Alice. Sorry, Maya.
0 and 4.
0 and -4?
Sorry, negative.
And what else? What other point can we use? Austin? 2 and -1. Perfect. So what's my rise and what's my run? Austin? How much am I? 1, 2, 3. So I'm going 3 up and 2 to the right. 1, 2. So my slope for line number 1 is going to be 3 over 2. Now I got to determine what the slope of line number 2 is, which is the purple line going down? And is my slope going to be positive or negative? Negative. So slope 2 is equal to rise over run. So what 2 points can I use to find the slope of the second line? Sienna? And what else? 3 and 6? Yep. So who can tell me what my rise and what my run is for those 2 points? 0, 8, and 3 and 6, the 2 purple dots.
I'm pretty sure it's 2 and 3.
Positive or negative?
Positive. Because it went up.
Gian? Yep. So we're going 2 down, so my rise is negative 2, and my run is positive 3. So remember, Sean, when it's going down, it's a negative
Yeah,
slope.
I was thinking like the actual rise.
Oh.
About the line.
So slope of line number 2 is negative 2 over 3. So with that said, what do you notice about the slopes?
Different.
They're different, but what kind of different? Laura?
What's that word?
Starts with an R?
Radius.
Reciprocal, but what type of reciprocal? No. What do you notice about the sign in front of the second slope? So what kind of reciprocal is it? Yeah. Yep. They are negative reciprocals of each other. So an example of a negative reciprocal is just you're just flipping the fraction, but then you're just adding a negative to it. That's it. C'est la vie. It's life. So I'll give you some examples of negative reciprocals, and you guys are going to tell me what the negative reciprocal is. So let's say I have 2 over 5. What's my negative reciprocal of 2 over 5? Maya? Perfect. Let's take, I'll start down here, negative 2 over 3. What's the negative reciprocal of negative 2 over 3? Positive 3 over 2. Okay, 1 over 2. What's the negative reciprocal? Gian? It's negative 2. 9 over 2. What is my negative reciprocal? Austin? Perfect. Pretty easy. So just write those examples and then we'll move on to that chart at the end. Thank you. So we have our chart here. I just want to state the slope of the actual equation. We're going to say what the parallel slope is and then what the perpendicular slope is. So what's the slope for the first equation? Y is equal to 2x minus 3. What's the slope? Yeah, thank you, Danica. It's 2.
That's Caitlin.
Sorry, Caitlin. Thank you, Caitlin.
What does mean?
What is my parallel slope going to have to be?
3. Negative 3.
Nope.
2.
2.
2.
What is my perpendicular slope? Yep, negative 1 over 2. Negative reciprocal. Let's write this nicer. Okay, the next one. Y is equal to negative 1 over 3x plus 1. What is my slope in this equation? Yazin. Okay. What does my parallel slope have to be? Sienna? Perfect. And what does my perpendicular slope have to be? Maya? Or just 3? It's fine. Okay, Sean, the next one. Y is equal to 3 over 2x. What's my slope?
Your slope is 3 over 2.
Okay. Dave, what does my parallel slope have to be?
2 over 3.
No, parallel slope means they have to be the same.
Oh, so 3 over 2.
Yep. You almost got the perpendicular slope right, except what did you forget to put in front of your 2 over 3?
Negative.
Yep. Parfait. And then the last one, we have y is equal to x plus 2. What is my slope for this? Adam,
X.
what's in front of the x? What number? Imaginary what? Yeah. Ethan, what's my parallel slope going to have to be?
1.
Yep. And what's my perpendicular slope? Laura? Negative 1. So for the line shown on the graph, so we have this line over here. I need to graph a line that is parallel to the original line and passes through the point 2, comma 5. So again, I'm gonna have to draw my scale because this didn't give me a scale. Okay, so what points do you want to use to figure out our slope for our parallel line? So what point on the red line or what points on the red line do you want to use to help us find our parallel slope? Adam.
0, negative 4.
Okay, and what else?
And 5, 0.
Nope, 5, 0 doesn't exist.
Sorry,
You mean 6, 0?
oh yeah.
Okay. That's fine. We can use that.
No.
That's okay. So what is our rise and what's our run? Maya.
4 over 6.
So I go 4 up and 6 to the right. So the slope of this line is going to be 4 over 6, which is the same as saying what? Gian.
2 over 3.
So I'm going to divide both of these by 2. So my slope is actually 2 over 3, which means if I want to draw a parallel line, my slope has to be 2 over 3. From the beginning, when we have parallel lines, what is the only thing that is different between two parallel lines? What part of y is equal to mx plus b is different? The b. So far I have y is equal to 2 over 3x plus b, because I don't know what my b value is. We did this for the test. How am I going to figure out b? What do I have to do with that 2 and 5? Yazin, want to take a guess? No? Gian? Yep. So 2 is x and 5 is y. So I'm going to have 5 is equal to 2 over 3 times 5 plus b. So what's 2 over 3 times 5? Yep, 10 over 3.
No, but me, but okay.
So now we need to have b left by itself. Yes?
Is this the same thing?
Pardon?
Is this the 2 over 3 times 5?
Oh, I put 5. Whoops. Thank you. The number 5 was stuck in my head. So what's 2 over 3 times 2? Gianna? Yep. So now to leave b by itself, what do we have to move over? What are we moving over to leave the b by itself? Gian? Yep, so it becomes 5 minus 4 over 3 is equal to b. So my denominator under the 5 is a 1. So what is my lowest common denominator for those two fractions? 3. So I have to multiply my first one by 3. So I'm going to get 15 over 3 minus 4 over 3 is equal to b. So what is my b value? 11 over 3 is equal to b. So the equation of my parallel line is going to be y is equal to 2 over 3x plus 11 over 3. So I have 1 point in the parallel line, which was given to us in the question, which is 2 and 5. So it's going to be up over here. What other point do you think we're going to use to help us graph the rest of the line? What part of that equation can we use? Gian. We're going to use our b, which is our y-intercept. So if I take 11 over 3 and convert that into a fraction, what is my y-intercept of the parallel line? What would it be? 11 divided by 3. 3 point what? 3.666. So your initial value or your y-intercept is somewhere over here. So now because you have 2 points, you just connect them and make your parallel line. You see how I drew that perfect line and they're never going to touch? So I'm going to keep this up there for you guys to copy down. right. So the next one we have is you want to graph a perpendicular line to the original line that passes through -3 and 0. So what would my perpendicular slope be? So M perpendicular. What would it be? What would my perpendicular slope be? So in A, our slope was 2/3. What is the perpendicular slope? Gian. -3/2. Okay. So we have 1 point given on our new perpendicular line. And what's the point that we're going to use to help us graph? It's given in the question. So we're going to graph a line that's perpendicular to the original line and passes through the point -3, 0. Yazin, what are we going to plot? Pardon? Yeah, you're going to plot -3 and 0. So because our slope is -3/2, Maya, what's the easiest way to graph this now? We were just talking about it.
Oh, so just kind of go, make your point and then go down.
Yep, so go down 3 and 2 to the right. So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 to the right, 1, 2. So now I'm going to draw my line. And as you can see, it should be making right angles with the two parallel lines. So this would be a right angle. Because if you take your protractor, because those things still exist, it'll make a 90-degree angle.
Don't you get there right?
Okay. Okay, last question. Or we're going to do this next question together, and then the other one you'll do on your own. So for C, I want to write the equation of a line that is parallel to y is equal to 2x minus 2 and passes through my points 10 and -3. So what is my parallel slope going to be? What would it have to be? 2/5. So far I have y is equal to 2/5x plus b. So what am I going to do to figure out my b value for this new parallel line? What point is given in my question? Yeah, so which one's x, which one's y? Yep. Okay. So I'm going to sub in -3 for y. So I'm going to get -3 is equal to 2/5 multiplied by 10 plus b. So what's 2/5 times 10? What would that give us? 4. And then how do I isolate for b, Sean?
You put 4 behind the 3.
So it becomes what?
4 plus 3, or -3 plus 4.
-3. No, it's already positive on the right side. If you move it over, it becomes what? Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Oh, but isn't the? Oh yeah, I see.
So what's -3 minus 4?
I'm pretty sure it's 1. It's
-7.
That's what I was gonna go with. So -7 equals B?
Yep.
Yeah.
So therefore, the new line, so therefore the new parallel line is y is equal to 2 over 5x minus 7. And like I said before, for my parallel lines to be parallel, just the slopes have to be the same. My b values can be different. So now you guys can do D on your own, and I'll come around and check your solutions. And then after that, you're just going to work on the worksheet attachment. That is the only one assigned under that lesson. So there's only one more attachment, and that's the worksheet. So that's what you guys are going to be doing after that. I'm going to stop recording.